And because it caused such an interesting play pattern and strategy that people were just not prepared for.
Overcharge the ion accelerator. It's time to forge the narrative.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Forge the Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy, your host for the Bell Souls podcast. I'm joined by Adam Camilleri.
G'day.
Tanya Gates.
Hey, everybody.
And Red Powell's back. Woo!
Woo,
what up,
yay.
everybody?
Welcome back. Look, I know you have you're elsewhere in the world right now doing some other stuff. So glad to have you back for this, and welcome everybody. Hope you all are enjoying it out there in podcast land. So apologies also for being a little kind of up and down with stuff. A lot been going on, but I think things are kind of smoothing out. Maybe you can hear it in my voice, but we're almost back to full steam, and we've had a data slate drop since our last broadcast. And I want to talk about some of the impacts to this. And I will go ahead and say that some folks are like saying that maybe things didn't get hit enough, but I would like to argue, I want to make an argument here in a second, that sometimes the little things do matter. And I want to talk about the Satans, like jumping right out the gate with the Satan. Like this has been kind of like that big list out there, that list that people are trying to stack themselves up against. And some of the big boys got hit with a small point increase.
So they came at the Catan in a very unique way. One that I'm not sure we've seen done before in this entire edition, where instead of directly targeting the data sheet and the points, they targeted the points a little bit. And I'm talking like a love tap. Like not.
I got something to say about that. This is what I'm going to talk about here in a second.
Two-fingered slap on the wrist. What they did was unpin the synergistic elements of Catan within Necron. So they took away pretty much any way for you to gain a benefit to Catan from the Silent King or in their preferred singles detachment, Star Shatter Arsenal. Neither of those things will benefit a Catan in any way. So what they did was instead of making the data sheet worse, which has its upsides in this, they took the top potential play from the Catan away. So all you really have now is a very good data sheet. Still a very good data sheet, possibly the best in the game. So I'm not going to tell you Catan are dead already.
Well, they can't die.
I'm going to put it out there. There's no reason they should have reanimation protocols.
They die. They can't die twice. They can't die even less.
Yeah, how many times can you split a Catan? Like, just theoretically.
How many shards? They just get smaller and smaller.
It's just keep splitting and splitting and splitting and splitting.
It's like Ash and Evil Dead.
Oh, that's an old reference. Yes,
That's
like Ash and Evil Dead.
Army of Darkness. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So this is the point I wanted to make on the points increases, is that everyone said the very similar thing about the Death Guard changes a long time ago, to where they weren't sure that the points changes were enough. But when you have that many kind of like death by 1,000 cuts on the points, then it really takes away a unit or two that are on the table, which affects their ability to score as well. So if you're building the exact same list, I don't know if you have the same scoring potential, and that's what we saw with Death Guard.
Yeah, you take away the critical mass, and the utility units take so many. You make so many concessions to get your power units in. You don't have enough utility units to get a winning score consistently. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that may be what we see here. Plus, what the things you mentioned, of course, as well. But been a lot of attention on the fact that maybe the Satan did not get the increases that maybe everyone might be expecting. But I do want to play that argument, is that I think a lot of us shared the same opinion about the Death Guard, but at the same time, they, like, just on the back of that, kind of got regulated into that 55% from the 70%.
Yeah, I genuinely, I was wrong about the Death Guard changes. I thought they were nowhere near enough and it wasn't going to make any difference. And I was 100% incorrect. So I'm just going to own that. I hope you are correct about this with the Catan. My gut instinct is that they're not going anywhere, but they're going to do less stuff, which I'm still happy about. Like a Catan is not going to reactive move after you. It's not going to double heal or even the dreaded triple heal. And, Pantheon of Woe is now at such a price point that if you want to take 5 Catan, that's all you got. You congratulations on your 5 Catan dot list. And yeah.
Still gonna be fun to play.
I feel like in the past, they've been a little too heavy-handed on the changes as well. I feel like, at least in the back half of this edition, I've really liked that they're not heavy-handed. It almost feels like before they took away an entire way of playing the game from people, and in this way, this detachment and this sort of list archetype is still playable. And maybe it does need to be hit again, who knows? But I do kind of like that it's a little bit lighter handed, because there are a lot of people out there who are playing not in a competitive way, who, they do feel like sometimes they're penalized. And I think this is a nice way to balance between managing the competitive play style and still having people who just really want to play that be able to take their toys.
Yeah, I totally agree.
like
And
that,
so
yeah.
what really is what they've done is that they've broken the identities away from each other. So they've got Star Shatter Arsenal that was good for vehicles, monsters, and mounted. And now they've removed monster out of that because they have their own detachment. They have a detachment called Pantheon of Woe that is literally just for monsters. So why should they get all the goodness along with two others and just be too much of a double and triple dip for Star Shatter? So now Star Shatter's like, you still have the best Catan in the game, which, checks notes, -1 damage Silent King is in fact the best Catan in the game. Absolute superstar. And he's enough. He's more than enough to build Star Shadow and keep it strong.
He wouldn't like that reference.
No, he wouldn't. And that's probably why I say it, because I've had enough of him too. And then you have Awakened Dynasty, which is good for your hordes, good for your phalanx. And then you have all the others, Beast and Phalanx for the Triarch. So they're just letting the identities be separate and thrive by themselves, which I think is, I don't know why Space Marines exclusively get to have one detachment that's good for everything all the time, but turns out Necrons aren't allowed.
So much salt.
As a guard
Yeah.
player, I think that you should stop complaining about well-rounded detachments
yeah.
not being able to be in the game.
Yep, that's fair. That is a fair call.
Oh, so Red, you actually have a lot of experience with Necrons. Went on a tear with some Satan and stuff back in the day, a couple of years ago. What are your thoughts? Oh, you muted. Yeah,
Rusty.
Yep.
Yeah, you get out of the game. Well, I've got to mute it just in case. But yeah, you get out of the game, you got to wake up every once in a while, I guess. But I won't even say what I was going to say, and it was something nice about Adam. So it's all.
Yeah,
I
you
missed
can't.
you, Red.
You can't say it now. Yeah,
No,
we got to go
I'm
back
not-
to
I'm
form.
not- yeah, I'm not going to repeat myself. So you all missed it. It was a beautiful thing too. It was probably the nicest thing I've ever said about Adam, and no one got it but me. So I just have to internalize that and let it go. Just it's gone. All right. Well, so 40K. I mean, I regret that I missed the opportunity to be able to play with so many folks and to see the Pantheon of Woe bring the despair that I was so happy to see it bring about on the table while it was there. I don't think it's going away in so many ways. I think that it's still an awesome, viable thing to how Satan can be played, which I was so happy to see that they brought in. I think that with the changes, 100%, we've all talked about it. There's different levers and mechanisms that they can do in order to how they balance the game. And when you think about it, like a lot of it in the data slate itself, like the game is not in a position. There's other ways. They haven't made massive mechanic changes to the game itself, really, right? We've seen points before. Paul, you brought up the Death Guard. I'm not going to, again, say anything nice about what Adam said at this point, but the adjustment to the formations and how they interact with their synergies, I'm okay with it. Like, honestly, as a Necron player, and I admit I've been conditioned to it to a point, because what was that? It wasn't this edition. Was it last edition, as the Silent King came in and the Necrons and everything, and we saw this upon release when Space Marines and Necrons came in. We saw a similar thing where Space Marines had a lot of things going on for them, and the Necrons, you could tell that the way that the edition was built, the Necrons were built very much in mind of how that edition came to be, and like how the points and the new system was established at that time. I think that the changes to the Necrons continue to be some of the best and most managed, which, I mean, I feel bad for, Space Marine players to whatever point that they don't get the same love and attention to balancing. But when it comes to Necrons, you can say, hey, I'm playing a balanced army. I'm playing an army that has, like, we had our time, and I know everyone got to that was playing. I mean, I saw some of the reports, right? I love a list that's just 7, 8 models, right? And it wasn't knights. It
Real
wasn't
travel
knights.
friendly.
That's right. I don't know. I mean, the Satan are beautiful, amazing, beautiful models. But I'm interested to see how that battle foam looks, because it's got to be like multi-leveled and whatnot to like catch the model so that it gets all the right pieces.
Gotta go magnets,
Um,
man.
I know. No, the magnets thing. I don't, they keep making the scanning machine at the airport smaller and smaller. It's harder to get the thing through it.
Gotta put your
But
Satan parade on to go through the.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm just gonna put these all individually, and you can scan them. But yeah, no. So it's cool. I think it's okay. I think it's a good shift and adjustment, because you do these things, you make these things trying to give folks the opportunity to appreciate and enjoy the models and the gameplay and get some time with it. I mean, I'm not. And y'all correct me. I know you probably already covered it in Meta Chasers, and someone can watch that and keep up
Oh,
with the meta
plug.
and enjoy
It's our
it.
other show.
There you go. Yeah, I gotcha on that. But like I wasn't seeing Satan like rocking #1, like just crushing all the big events. I was seeing them more in like a high end gatekeeper, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, and so with
It's a
that,
stat check type army.
right, exactly, and I think that means, just like I didn't see that much of an issue. The Knights doing the same thing, and I think Death Guard were in a similar boat, and it's just cool to see how the designers and the folks that are running this and how they're adjusting that. Like, okay, it is a stat check thing, but what do we do? What levers do we flip to just bring them down a little bit? And so that people, to Tanya, to your point, like, people just want to enjoy the game, right? And it's good that people get their time in the sun. We all know it happens. It's just how the meta introduces itself in a lot of ways. But then also you've got that person who's playing the exact same army that they've been playing, and they're not going to change it because that's what they just enjoy playing. And why should that be taken off the table simply every time something new comes out? Right. And
Right.
so it's cool to see that kind of fluctuation, and knowing that it's going to go up a little bit and then return to a point of normalcy where we can all just get back to the back and forth that we're used to. So
I'm glad you put it out
I'm
there.
glad
It's perfectly okay to enjoy an army just full of star gods and shards and stuff.
that's right.
But now I'm going to
That's
punch
right.
you all right in the feels, and that is talking about the Rogadorn battle tank going up 10 points to 260 points, and the tank commander going up 15 to 290. And this is like just when the Dorans were feeling super dorny. Does this change anything?
I don't think this changes anything. The best thing.
Yeah, it's only
I can
half a
say
squad of
about-
catechins.
Exactly right. And the best thing I can say about Guard right now, Guard probably, maybe apart from Codex Astartes, have the most robust unit selection, where you have infinite side grades. Yeah, infinite side grades, downgrades, whatever. Like, I mean, you could just, if you were taking Chimeras before, you downgrade 2 of your Chimeras to Tauroxes, and the points are made. You didn't actually lose anything. You lost a few guns on your transport. Totally fine. Job done. If you were taking a second or third enhancement in Grizzled Company, the only one you really need in Grizzled is Abhuman Detail.
Yep.
Why else are you doing it?
That's what I did. Yep.
Sure.
I just dropped my enhancements that were like a situational thing. I wasn't using them all the time anyway. And then voila, list stays exactly the same.
Yep. Worst comes to worst, you downgrade some, if you had a unit of 15 Scions, you can take 5 out. Then you have points left over for something else, or you downgrade into the Kazagan to a unit of Catachans, buy something else with those spare points, because you've probably got enough points to downgrade them to Catachans, get the Dawns, and maybe an enhancement. And then all of a sudden, like, did you downgrade? You side graded because you got like 3 things for the price of 1. And this is why Guard is always kind of just like, if you are a good player, Guard is always going to give you a way to play.
I'm not a good player, but it does give me a way to play the game.
I like both those perspectives, but I do like, if you're a guard enthusiast, like, you probably have like a lot of modularity to your collection as well for various regiments, or little tech units, even individual models you can add in and out. And that's a great point about the enhancements, to be able to kind of play that enhancement swap game to get to stay with largely your force remaining the same.
Yep.
Let's talk about the most winningest list in the game as of at least a couple weeks ago. And that is, believe it or not, Scintillating Legion in the Demons. So Demons don't even have a codex, but winningest list. Now, they have a pseudo codex. They have a bunch of detachments. They got a bunch of army rules. They got a bunch of units. They basically got, all the makings, everything but that bound book. And they've been out there racking up wins.
What is a codex? A codex is like 4 to 6 detachments in a book. They have 4 to 6 detachments in a trench coat.
Yeah.
I think this is the thing. Sure, I lament that Chaos Demon players can't go and buy a book off a shelf, and put it next to the toilet and read it, or things like that, and so be it. But Scintillating Legion was destroying people, and because it caused such an interesting play pattern and strategy that people were just not prepared for. So the strategy of a Scintillating Legion was the same all the time. Deploy your entire army on the front line of the board and run at them. I don't care if you are Tau. I don't care if you are Guard. I don't care what your army is. You play like your World Eaters versus Scintillating Legion, no matter what. And people just were like, that is so not what my army does. And so they didn't do it. And so Scintillating was smashing. Now, I don't think this is the death knell of Scintillating Legion. What happened to them was that they went up about 70 points. They got up.
So Fate Weaver went up 10 points. Lord of Change went up 15 points. So if you have two Lords of Change, there's 30 there. And then the Infernal Puppeteer went up 15 points.
So the meta list was maxed out on the big birds. You had Kairos, 3 big birds, Lords of Change, Be'lakor, and then utility pieces, Flamers and Screamers, MS, and of course the Infernal Puppet. That list went up 70. I'm of the opinion that was one more bird than you needed all. You can definitely drop your 3rd bird. Of course, if you want to take the second Lord of Change with the sword, very good bird. You can downgrade that one to the Prince with the sword relic instead. Exceptionally good melee counter assault piece. And then you get to round out your force a bit more. Horrors are really good right now. You know what a Catan can't kill? 10 pink horrors. It's hilarious to watch the Catan get stuck on 10 pink horrors for 3 turns. And you're just like, this is a bunch of gibbering idiots with a 4-up invulnerable save. Have fun. Stuff like that. It's very much in the wheelhouse of Scintillating Legion. There are pivots here. I do not think it is dead. Yeah. So, but in saying that, one thing that Paul and I have said for a very long time, and you Red and Tanya might back us up, demons have kind of always had a build that is fit for purpose for whatever meta you go into, be it if it's a shooting-based meta. Be'lakor's lone operative aura goes absolutely off the chain, and you have a beautiful tech piece built in. It's a melee matchup. 6 blood crushers with their impact hits get to dodge all the fight on death, heroic interventions, and all the nonsense. They're a great tech piece, and they really change the matchups. I think Demonic Incursion, the index detachment, is really good right now. And if you didn't want to play Scintillating Legion because you found that the points were a bit more than you wanted to see, play Demonic Incursion. Same thing. There's a bunch of Custodies. There's going to be a bunch of Blood Angels. And there's, a bunch of...
I don't like the way you said that.
And Catan is still going to be around. The meta is what we call very tall at the moment, as in like the things people are taking are very like small model count armies that are very robust and durable. So we call that a tall meta versus a wide meta, which would be what the Eldari meta was doing for us a couple of months ago. Who's going to push 3 Catan at you with Scarbrand in reserve, who can 6-inch deep strike charge, and Be'lakor sitting there that you can't shoot? You try running 2 Catan at that army and see what happens. It's not going to be pretty. And getting that kind of respect out of your opponent is a very powerful thing.
In line with, I think, what you just said, Grey Knights and their Terminators getting their, which I think they've been kind of on the cusp for a little while. Is this going to be enough to throw them back into the mix?
This one annoys me.
Well, also in the same vein as the Emperor's Children, like the Tormentors got a 10-point reduction, and I think these are similar point changes.
Yeah. More importantly, there though, I think you missed a flawless blade. That one is interesting.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, 6 flawless blades for 200 points. That unit kills just about everything it touches.
So I guess the reason I agree with that flawless blades, but I was thinking about what people are taking right now.
Oh,
and
true.
Now they can take more of that stuff. But I think you're dead on with the flawless blades because they've been like that unit everyone wishes they could take, but haven't had that efficiency in there yet.
Every single Emperor's Children player that I know has 6 of them that they've played exactly twice. And now I think you actually do unhook them and get them into the game. I think they're worth experimenting with, either in 3s or 6s. If you're playing in Peerless Bladesman specifically, I like multiple units. If you're playing Coda Really Conceited, I'd just go with 1 unit of 6 and not go too far down the rabbit hole. But in Peerless Blades, you have 1 CP plus 1 attack as one of your buffs, and you don't have to wait on the Coterie to kick in. This is the issue with the Coterie that conceded. If you can't get early kills, you do not have a detachment in the turns that matter, in the turns where the game is won, because you haven't got enough kills and pledged enough to Slaanesh to get your rerolls and get your crit 5s and sus and things like that. So, and versing it, like I said, versing a meta that is very tall that can throttle your early kills. Like, what are you getting early kills against a Catan list? Where are your early kills coming? Your small trading kills. They're not gonna be there to juice them up. So I wouldn't go too hard into them there. But I think Flawless Plays are very much worth it. Grey Knight Terminators, a year too late on this points reduction.
Oh no! Don't say that.
Oh, I'm so annoyed. I'm a Grey Knights player. I played about 60 games of Grey Knights last year. They were one of my most played armies, and I couldn't put a single Terminator chassis on the table because they weren't worth it. And
You're too late for you, is what you're saying, but right on time, maybe some other people.
And don't I matter, Paul? No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But yeah, I wish they had these points reductions a while ago. Get your teeth stuck into a Terminator archetype.
It might be here. No, like there are obviously some other changes. I mean, and there's also some changes in some of the data slates. Blood Angels. You mentioned Blood Angels there. I don't like the way you had that tone for Blood Angels, but you did mention them, and I'll take the mention. But as far as like on the points change, Asterath went down by 10 points, and I've been running Asterath. I actually do like Asterath, and when you've got 2 flying units of Death Company. But maybe now some other people may dig him as well.
Yep, in Rage Cursed Onslaught, the detachment that came out of Grotmus, he's very good. He's very good for your second unit.
And then, of course, the change, I know we're talking about points here, but as far as playability, Sanguinary Priest now maybe jumping in with some Blade Guard.
I saw that. That looks so good. I mean, Paul, you may disagree, and Adam's.
No, how would I disagree with the 5-up Phil Pain?
Right. Well, Adam's,
AP.
I could already see it. Before I knew we were gonna have a little negative Nancy over there in the corner. Hey, look at him, just tucking his hat away. Just turn your video off for a second if you need to just go off the corner.
Fair enough.
But
fair enough.
I think the Sanguinary Priest would.
Don't do it. I want to see the Venom.
I think the Sanguinary Priest with the Blade Guard, that looks awesome. I mean, like I've appreciated the people who have played the Judiciar and Blade Guard with the other, outside of Blood Angels. But I think that combo looks awesome. I think it's great. I look forward to seeing it, Paul. I look forward to seeing your 3 Sanguinary Priests with your 3 Blade Guard.
And can run lieutenants with them too, so they just
could, yeah.
Won't ever stop.
You can do so much more. Oh my God. In Liberator Assault, okay, so it's 230 points to get 6 Blade Guard veterans and the Sanguinary Priest. Then you add Speed of the Primarch to the Sanguinary Priest, and then you get the Captain with, is it Relentless Assault for the Sustain Hits 3?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And you put it all into a Death Star, and it's got Fights First, like essentially free interrupt. Sustain Hits 3 on the Smash Captain that can use his finest hour, and then 6 Blade Guard with 3 up, 4 up, rerolling ones, 5 up. Just why?
Rerolling one's only in close combat, so still, it does matter, right?
Here is my issue with this. Yeah, right now we just came out of a meta where Custody Guard were pointed at a place where quantity became a quality of Custody Guard. Yeah. We have already seen this edition, Blade Guard, 18 Blade Guard and Liberator Assault as being one of the best things that you can do in that detachment. And now you just made it better. And I just look at that out of the corner of my eye and I'm like, oh my God, just fair. I mean, fair enough. They probably should, the Sang Priest should probably always have been able to attach.
They should be able to go in any walking unit.
Blade Guard. Well, why can't
I am kind of bummed that you've not seen such a iconic unit on the Blood Angels taken more prevalently.
Why can't Azrael join Company Heroes, Paul?
He smells funny? I don't know.
Does he look like he really needs a company of heroes?
Does Calgar?
Yeah.
Obviously he does. Yeah, he was like.
He brings them with him. He's already got it. They follow him everywhere he goes.
Like grapes.
He looks like he needs them. The one guy carrying his walker for him.
I would like a.
I called it.
Love it.
My goodness. All right. Well, look, that's segment 1 for this week. We're going to take a break. If you're listening on the podcast, listen for our word from our sponsors. Check them out while you're waiting. If you're watching us on YouTube, check out the other video coming out tomorrow. It is going to be the top 5 things to do while you wait for the real data slate. Of course, forgetting a little bit, of course, but you'll have to figure out what those top 5 things are. Just a second. We'll see y'all soon. See y'all in just a second.
FTN is brought to you by Discount Games Inc. Please visit them at www.discountgamesinc.com. And don't forget to ask Jay about ways to save even more on your hobby projects.
Hey everybody, we are back! Or maybe you just stumbled onto this video. Anyway, welcome, wherever you found us. Either right after the last segment, or here we are. We're going to be talking about the top 5 things to do while you wait on the real balanced data slate. Of course, I'm kidding about this. But there has been some talk of it. So was this enough? Was it, because certain factions feel like they did not get that push. Like I'll even say it, like the Wraith Guard, the Wraith constructs in Eldari. Folks don't feel like they're still gotten the attention that they want to make that something that can rise to the top for their playstyle. Oh, Adam, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I enjoyed watching Adam put his finger up and down
Yeah.
a few times.
I guess he just wanted to
Okay.
smolder about this.
So if I was to sum up this balance pass from Games Workshop, is they knocked off the top. That was it. They found the top of the pyramid, the meta pyramid, and they just knocked 5 to 10% off it.
I mean, things
aren't bad out there.
We don't talk about this quite enough. Or we talk about some or whatever, but you and I do another show called the Warhammer Meta Chasers, where we do look at the factions that people are playing and also the win rate of those factions each and every week. And out in like the top, armies chosen by people at a given event, like at a 200 player event, how many factions are taken most frequently, and it's pretty spread out there. And even in looking at after the fact, the top 10s of those events, there's typically 8 or 9 different factions
rented. Yeah, that's correct. Like the top 10 distribution is really good right now. Like we're seeing usually about 10% representation of Adeptus Astartes. That's just Adeptus Astartes, like Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, Raven Guard, White Skies. 10% of the meta is just like that book. And then you have Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Templars, Deathwatch added into that Space Force. In addition, so like 10% of the meta is just mostly Ultramarine. And there are some outliers. But like I said, what people I think are worried about is that they didn't bring up the bottom or change the middle. Like I said, they just knocked the top, which indicates at some level Games Workshop is probably happy where the game is at or content with the current balance of the game, because they didn't really reshuffle anything. They just took the top and moved it down a little in the hopes that things in the middle would move up, et cetera, et cetera. Everything else would move up.
Maybe if they can get through that one game that was a challenge or seemingly unattainable, maybe
or,
into a different
or
category.
even if they can't, if they're getting closer and then generalship can or more repetitions into that army or tech pieces can get you a little closer again and again and again, problem solved. We'll have to wait and see whether that's the case though.
And I'm not minimizing anybody's plight out there either, as far as like where they feel like they're at with their faction, but I can just tell you what the numbers say is that there is a wide representation of factions that it's spread out. It's not just 1 or 2 armies out there taking home all the slots, depending on how deep you look in the event. So I can kind of see, what that gentle nudge to the approach of the game is. So with that said, let's get back to the shenanigans of the top 5 things to do while you're waiting. And before we do that, you want to throw any honorable mentions that might not be on the list?
Yeah, I do. I think that if it were me, and this is something I'm currently doing, it's to kit bash a little proxy of yourself for your army so that you can be on the battlefield with all your little plastic dudes too.
I love that. Love it, Adam.
Play Warhammer Fantasy, the old world.
A different game. That is something you have to do. Like if you feel like you're at that place, you plateaued.
Come on over. Get some square base going. Rank and flank. Let's do it.
I old world. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff that they've been dropping for that. I mean, I'll throw in Kill Team, right? I mean, you can pick up models you've already got and jump right into the game if you want, or you can go get one of this bespoke teams and roll right in. I mean, they're all kind of bespoke, but I'm sure, like Tanya, if you wanted to, you could just build the guard team right out the gate, and it would be there you go. Look at that.
Nice.
Do you have
rattling?
Yeah, I just finished them. Yeah, my little rattling.
Yeah,
I mean, how many kill teams does Guard have? They have the Rattlings, the Aquilons, the Kazakins, and the Death Corps.
Yeah,
the Death Corps, right. and then you can also play them directly into the Inquisitorial retinue, and so you can just like port any of those into all you got to do is get the Inquisitor retinue, and then you can also play them as like a co-opted piece to it.
Yeah,
so,
I've straight up got a 4 kill team plan to get 4 kill teams.
No, exactly.
So let's jump into the list. Number 5, build something. Like, come on, we're all collectors here. We all got those kits that, maybe it sat on the shelf long enough for the slate to pass you by and it didn't make it into your last version of the list, but you still got the models. Break them out and build them. Why not? Build a vanity unit, one that you've always wanted, that you think will look cool. The vision is burning in your brain.
We've all got the pile of shame, right? We all acknowledge
pile
that.
Of potential.
That's right.
No,
pile
mine's
of potential.
shameful.
Well, but it could be potentially shameful. But with that, so I think something that's always nice. I always appreciate it. Is that when something changes, some rule or adjustment, and suddenly instead of having to go just in, as much as I love building and getting it together and assembling and painting it all and being able to fit it into the model and mode of the moment, it's also really nice when that's already done and I can just go straight to the shelf and just, oh, well, I guess I can bring y'all back on and just rotate them back in person. I highly recommend that.
Like, especially if it's like a 5-person squad or whatever, or a individual character model, like a utility. Like a lot of armies now, they've got like 1 or 2 utility single model units that you might want to sub in and sub out, and it's kind of like a perfect time to build it for that just in case. Who doesn't want another sloppity bob piper or a lieutenant, space marine lieutenant,
Or Shadow Sword
in their roster?
Or another super heavy Baneblade chest.
Yeah.
Right.
Now you're talking. I like where your head's at as far as that goes. But I think it's kind of like always a good idea to build something. And plus, I use building something too when like I just don't feel like I can focus enough to paint.
That's it,
I don't,
there.
When I feel like I just like I don't have enough time to I shouldn't say time because it's all about prioritizing. But when I don't feel like I've got it in me to summon up enough of that focus and determination to paint, I can build something and still interact with the hobby.
Correct. One of my favorite things to do when I don't know what to paint or build is to just build a bunch of stuff, and then when I'm painting in possibly a downtime like this, is to not paint things to top level, not to like unless I've got a single piece that I'm really invested in, or like you said, a vanity unit.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of ancillary stuff, like filling out a roster of battle ready level, and then when a change comes that really incentivizes that unit, bada bing, bada boom, highlights, paint lenses, bit of gloss, off she goes. Ease your later cram.
Like it. So number 4, we're going to move on to number 4. Touch up your bases on your army. Look, I'm put you. I'm not calling anybody out, but I just want to point. So a little bit of reflection. Do you have 2 or 3 elements on your base? Do you have, some texture and a tuft of grass or something? Like, I don't know if you do or not, but it's a good time to check,
I will admit, when I'm cramming for a tournament, the first thing I compromise is the bases. The first part of the process that gets compromised is the bases. It's so amazing. Like my first 2,000 points of Dark Angels, double layer highlights, freehand stripes on every shoulder pad and head plate, 4 or 5 glazed colors on the eye lenses, that went down to 1 color pretty quick with a white dot. And then the bases were like, I'd get a bit of clay, I'd build up a hill, I'd cut a knee and get it, standing up on something. This one's got a skull, this one's got 2 tufts. I'd go into the backyard and I'd get leaves and crush them in a mortar and pestle and, watered down PVA, scatter them on there. They look great. Texture paint, a highlight, and a wash. That's where we're at.
Yeah,
that's where we're at, guys.
I'm not necessarily saying like rebase the whole army at all, but but like putting an extra element, an extra pop. Make sure those bases are rim black, like those, or whatever color you choose, some solid color to go around the base to give them that uniform look. It always improves the look of the army, and if you're missing that, that's something that you can do right now, because you're not having to build another unit or whatever to get ready for something. You're already ready for the tournament. Now you're sharpening it up a little bit. Number 3, read a book. So we were talking a little bit in the pre-show, and we were actually, as we were coming up with this list, Adam, you actually suggested read the first 50 pages of your codex. If you don't have a book to read, again, there's lots of Warhammer novels and stuff out there to choose from, and they're just like, they just keep heating up.
So I found this edition, Codex Lore, has been quite a bit of what I already know or recent history from the previous 2 editions with little freaking nugget Easter eggs. Yeah. I read like the first bunch of pages of the Chaos Nightbook, Imperial Nightbook, and I didn't really find much new on the first couple of pages, and I stopped. And then recently I went back and read the whole thing again. I'm like, oh my God, there's a bunch of stuff they actually added here, but it's just, you have to look for it. And so heartily encourage people. I had to read it. They didn't just serve it to me in a silver platter red. Don't they know that I am busy? No, this is how I prefer it. This is cool the way they did it. I won't say that's for every codex. That's how I found in for the Night Code.
No, I think that's. I mean, so I with my boys and we play, I urge them to. They like reading, right? We got all sorts of. I've been through. My oldest and I, we've reread Gaunt's Ghost, for example. But going back to it, like the codexes, I throw that back all the time. It's like, hey, have you? We talk about stuff, and we're talking about how our factions are built. My second oldest plays Tyranids and Necron, and so it's easy for the Space Marines in some cases of like how the heroes are built, and there's like this more story-based arc that can be made for a lot of what happens with the Space Marines. But like the Tyranids being this hive mind thing, trying to like I have to help with my second oldest. He's 11 at this point, but like how cool for it is for him that he's got this bug faction that's like devouring planets, but kind of trying to make like the hive fleet identity attached to it. But some of the things that go into that and like the little pieces of lore, and then of course for some of us who have been reading over generations of codexes and the different things, to pick up on some of the different things, just like you're talking about. Like, I mean, the introduction of the Norn emissary and what that has meant to like the presence of the hive mind. We used to like, it used to be mind blowing to have a hive tyrant, and now you got this Norn emissary just going through and like mentally wrecking a planet as it shows up and kind of thing. So it's really cool little things that they've slid in that I agree, totally worth picking up going through that first part of it.
It's neat how reading some of that can actually influence what your army choices are, or the units that you have to have in your collection.
That's right.
That does happen from time to time, even for the Dyed in the Wool tournament players. So look, but there's also you talked about those nuggets of things, and not to take us too far off 40K, but in the Horus Heresy books, I don't mean the novels, I mean the game books and the preamble to their lore and stuff. Like, you thought you knew that Legion and everything there was to know about that Legion, they still found ways to surprise you in some of that lore. So good.
Cool thing about Horus Heresy is that with the lore, it's almost like building instructions in so many ways, right? It's like, this is how the Legion is constructed lore wise, and people in so many ways for 30K are like, whoa, okay, that's how I want to build my army out. I want to follow, there's so much to it that there's hundreds and thousands of ways to go about it. You're not stuck with any specific way, because the legions were so massive that everything existed at one point, that they had it all in their arsenal. And you're like, oh well, but I want to make the 10th company. I want to make the 61st chapter. I want to make the whatever. And you just go down the line, and people can find it all. And it's so extensive with the Horus Heresy lore that it's amazing at what you can pull from and to be able to build off of. I love
And
it.
that exists in 40K too, like especially if you're playing
Absolutely.
with a chapter that has defined companies and things like that. But still there are ways to incorporate that same kind of stuff. But as far as like the lore, like the stories, if you haven't picked up a 40K story in a long time, or you did it a long time ago and you haven't done it in a while, they are much different now. And just, I think they're written with a like much more like a novel that you don't necessarily have to be a 40K fan to just enjoy. They're just written well. If you like the story, they're there, which is cool. Number 2, Squad Mark. Look, how many of y'all are guilty of having, let's say, 2 units of intercessors that all pile into the same combat, and you're like, well, I guess I got 3 left here, right? And your opponent's like, I don't know, man. But if you're squad marked, even with just the water slide transfers or some type of dot on the back of a base, or something, a knee pad, or a one patch of chitinous armor, is a slightly different shade or whatever. The tongues, that's the eyes of the tongues on those creatures are a little bit different. Then it makes you're communicating with your opponent. That is something that typically does not take a lot of time. I don't want to say it doesn't, but when you get it done, you're able to have a much cleaner play experience with squad marks. It's not just about the aesthetics.
And at least I'd like to say I try. I'm unfortunately not being the best painter, but also liking kind of a dirtier, grungier like aesthetic to it. To that end, I agree wholeheartedly, Paul. I've with my models, I always try to have some kind of squad built marking. It's just always a learning point for me as I go into it. And I was like, well, I've got these 30 Death Watch all crammed together. And they're like, well, but it just looks like 30 black models. And I was like, well, but their shoulder pads all their shoulder pads are painted. They're like, well,
Look, as
from
long
the
as you
top
know, you
down,
can explain it to your opponent. That counts, right? That does count. Like they
right?
can.
It does.
Like I'm
It
not judging
does. I just
quality of the paint, which by the way, your stuff
no,
does
you're
look good.
not.
I
Yeah.
played against it, but the
But
I'm not judging the quality. I'm just the effort of actually denoting, what unit is what unit.
yeah,
A
your
good
your
way
point's 100%.
a good way to differentiate your squad, say you have Tyranids and you really want them to all look exactly the same, you could put like a different color of tuft onto the bases to denote that
That's
they're a
cool.
different unit. Like maybe this is like a turquoisey kind of tuft, and this one over here is kind of like a
It-
khaki
That's
colored
great.
tuft.
That's how I do my Sylvaneth. Is that I
Mm.
have flowers on their
Mhm.
bases,
That's awesome.
and they're squad marked with like there's green and blue flowers, and then white and red flowers, and yellow and green flowers. They're all that's those pairs of colors. Exactly right.
Mhm. I like
Yeah,
having a really easily identifiable color mark on there, but I do also recognize that there are some people experiencing color blindness out there that might not work. But really, in that case, you're going to have to kind of explain no matter what your squad marks are, unless it's like
sure.
in your face, like a water slide decal or something.
Well, I mean, you mean to your opponent?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this
Yeah,
is the effort. It's about communicating to your opponent. Like, hey, these are this. Especially in the big scrum. Like, I play Catachan. All right. I tell you, it for the longest time, like it was difficult for me to tell the Catachan units apart. I actually painted on the rims of the bases. I don't necessarily like the way that looks, but I would put Roman numerals on the bottom of on the base rim to say which squad is which, and I don't necessarily dig that aesthetic, but it worked, and it was certainly a way to do it, and kept those clean divisions when you're trying to add up OC or kill of a unit or something like that. You never want that to come into question, and squad marking is a way to overcome that, but it's also something often that you might not forget, but like you call a unit done before you get to that spot. And during this time when your army didn't change much, but you got some hobby time still, I think squad marking's a nice endeavor.
So you didn't like how they were like painted on the base? How do you feel about those like little nameplates that you can get like 3D printed for the bases?
Oh no, I'm cool with that. I guess so.
Yeah.
I did not like how my attempt at painting Roman numerals with a brush on the back.
Gotcha.
Of
Gotcha.
but that's what
Fair.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
No, it makes sense. So that's to my point, Paul. So you're 100 like squad markings. I've tried to do it, but I just noticed that to the communication point, my paint style wasn't communicative as enough, and so I went with I painted the bases in colors so that it stood out a little bit more. I still achieved what I wanted to do, which was ultimately have like the squad representations to depict the uniqueness that I was trying to build into the models, but then also to help with that. And Tanya, I think that the nameplates are a great option too. I think that it's very cool and can show that approach to it. I love the terrain basing options. I think that's awesome to be able to do that too. I love I 100% to be able to reduce the friction in a game and then also be able to build it into the aesthetic and the hobby like that is that's some next level.
Yeah. Any attempt here, I think, is a win. Because
Absolutely.
of that. Like I think you just described it, reducing some of those friction points. Not that you have those in every game, but sometimes it does matter. And when
Sure.
when a single round could take 45 minutes, maybe you both forgot how many were there 5 people in that squad or 3, kind of thing. So
We still have number one, don't we?
Oh yeah, number one. Look, this is a little bit of a gimme here, a little bit of feel good moment here at the end. Number one, just keep playing. Like you already like maybe you didn't nothing impacted at all, or your buddies list, or the tournament where kicks off without a hitch. Whatever. Nobody has to make too many alterations. Just keep playing the game. That's why we have the models anyway. Unless you're just a collector, because there's plenty of reasons you can have models, but we're talking about how to play the game.
Yeah, moderate your expectations. Play a detachment you haven't played yet. Play one that was on the fringe that you didn't think you had time for before, and now just give it a crack. I'm playing Knights at the moment. I played Gateward and Lance to one event and a handful of practice games. It's not that competitive. It's incredibly fun. That's the kind of stuff you should like. It's something that will give you a lot of joy and then change what you expect out of the game. Just walk in expecting to have a good freaking time with something that you don't have a lot of experience with.
I love, especially if you're playing one-off games. Like this is you're playing your Saturday afternoon game with
for example,
across the street.
Do you know how Gateward and Lance works? You draw a line. I physically draw a line between two objectives. I have a pink sparkly ribbon that I use to draw my line between my objectives. I play Johnny Cash's Walk the Line while I'm deploying. I lean in, baby. That's the kind of stuff you get to do in these stable like waters where, maybe we're waiting for something else to change.
Love it.
Go lean in, be silly, enjoy.
Love it.
And there's so much
you-
stuff out there that's released. I mean, and I know part of it's just because I haven't gotten my hands on it, just because I've been away. But all the stuff I'm seeing coming out, I mean, the previews for the Reign of Iron, the what has happened with Huron and everything that's come out. Like, it looks so much fun to just get on the table and kit bash right now with all the things that are out there. That, I mean, if we took all 5 of those together, there's the new books that have released with more lore in it. There's the some of the narrative crusade pieces. They've had like custom characters that you can release. Like, there's so much more to step on and build into right now that I'd find it hard to say that there's nothing but wait, right? There's plenty of things
I
to
agree.
do.
Plenty to do.
Love it. All right. Well, thank y'all for indulging us with this slightly tongue-in-cheek list, but still absolute cool things to do. You got a little honorable mention to add?
Display board.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I just
That's a good
literally
one.
just thought of it then.
We can throw that in to
Goes-
build something.
Goes hand in hand with
Yeah.
the building and the basing and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Honorable mention. If you don't have a display board, you've always wanted to do one. Go for it.
Love it. All right. Well, thank y'all for joining us. Please don't forget to hit those likes and subscribes. Leave some comments down below. What would you put on the list that we missed? I really want to hear y'all's thoughts. Thank y'all for joining us this week. We'll be back next week, everybody. Y'all have a good night.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
The Sept tenets demand you tune in next week. For the greater good, of course.